If you get the answer, it's an assumption. If you do not get the answer, it is not an assumption. A very basic rule of assumption, okay? Ask a question, why? If you get the answer, it's an assumption. If you do not get the answer, it is not an assumption. Okay? This will come for 5 marks. You'll spend 2.5 minutes on it, okay? Let's start. So I'll write down the first rule. Ask why.
Why?
Yeah, ask why. Number 1. Okay, let's see how this works exactly. A very straightforward rule and can help you solving any question of assumption. But we have a little more rules as well. Why can answer 90% of the questions for you for sure. Okay, we have a lot more rules than that. We'll look at those small rules later. Let's start. If parking space is not available in the office, park your vehicles in the mall and walk to the office. Now, why are you saying that? Okay, let's see if we get the answer somewhere. Question the premise, okay? What are they saying? If it is not available in the office, then park your vehicles in the mall. Now, why are you saying something like this? Okay, let's understand. The mall is at a walkable distance from the office. That's why you're saying park there and you can walk down. Okay, so 1 follows. Let's have a look at the second one. The office does not allow visitors to park in the premise. Not really. We don't know about that. Why? Because saying if the space is not available, only then do that. Which means parking is permissible in the office premise, but just if space is not available, you'll park somewhere else. So the answer is assumption 1 follows, 2 doesn't. Okay? Now keep in mind, you'll have a predefined set of things. Like if 1 follows, 2 doesn't, mark A. If 2 follows, 1 doesn't, mark B. If both follow, mark C. If none follow, mark D. Something like that. If either 1 or 2 follows, mark E. You'll have this predefined, so don't worry about it. Okay, for now we're not interested in that. Let's just understand what assumptions are all about. So first rule, ask a question, why? If you get the answer, it's an assumption. If you do not get the answer, or if it sounds a little vague to you, okay, answer is not about just the answer. It should be like a little valid answer. It shouldn't be a vague answer. Okay? In that case, it will not be an assumption. Have a look at the second one. Farmers must immediately switch over to organic fertilizers from chemical fertilizers for better yield. Better yield, I know. Better yield, okay. For better yield, yeah. So what is supposed to do? What are the premise telling you? Switch over from organic to chemical. You get better yields. Fair? Why are you saying that? Why are you asking to switch over? Now what should be the assumption in this case ideally? I'm not going the cat way, okay? I'm not going to ask you like what is the assumption implicitly expressed and all that. No. Just attack, because you don't have time anyway in CET. What can be the ideal assumption in this case? There must be some advantage of chemical over the organic. But let's see. I mean, you don't have to work on that. Just have to understand what is the statement given to you. Number 1, all farmers use only chemical fertilizers? Not necessarily true. In fact, if it were true, they wouldn't have asked them to switch. Understand that? Okay. Not necessarily true. Organic fertilizers readily available to the farmers?
Yes.
Not necessarily true. Because the question here is about switching. It doesn't mean readily availability. I mean, the availability is not the question here. The question is about a switch. Okay? It may happen that it is readily available, but it may not happen that it is readily available.
So, but they are telling to switch over. So, एक assumption होगा ही ना कि if you are switching over, then it is available, obviously.
Readily available.
Not necessarily readily available to everybody. Because
okay, the word keyword.
Yeah, readily available is the thing that is affecting. So the answer is none follows. Again, keep in mind in this kind of an assumption question, the focus was one thing. What are the focus? The switch over should have been justified somehow. Why do you switch over? Probably it can have a better yield, so why do you switch over? Probably doing this is feasible enough, that's why they can switch over. Something like that. Okay, should be the ideal assumption in this case, but it's not there, so none follows. Let's look at the third question. Okay, so first thing, ask a question why. If you get the answer, it's an assumption. If you don't, it is not an assumption. Okay, let's look at the third question. an advertisement. Now let's set some rules for advertisement. Advertisement has the following rules. When you have advertisements, there are the following rules. Number one, whatever is advertised is in demand. Okay, people need it. That's why they advertise. The assumption for an advertisement, the number one assumption for advertisement is it is in demand. Think about it. You will not advertise something that is not in demand at all, or people don't need it. Okay? In current generation of pen drives, you won't advertise about floppy drives or floppy disks. Okay? Simple as that. This is in demand. Okay? Next, there are competitors. A monopoly need not advertise. Agreed, but there are competitors. Okay? There is a validity of competitors always in advertisements. Okay? Otherwise, have you seen Indian Railways advertising? Just for the safety and security? Yes. Otherwise, I mean, because there are people who use other types of transport, that is why they advertise for their public railway transport. Okay? Otherwise, they will not. If there were only one way of transport, I don't need to advertise that, right? Simple as that. If there only one person like me who taught CET, I wouldn't have need to advertise at all for my batch. Because I know that if I'm the only teacher, people will come to me only. Or they study by themselves, probably. But I did not advertise saying that I'll teach you better, blah, blah, blah. Okay? Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Got the point? There is a chance of competitors for sure in advertisement. What else can be the rule of advertisement? Think about it. Why would you advertise? Third assumption. People will respond to the advertisement. If I keep on posting something or the other about some CET and crap like that, and there is no likes, there is no hit, there is no comment on it, I will stop doing it. Because, okay, the assumption of an advertisement is that people will respond. Are we clear? These are the basic rules of advertisements, okay? So let's have a look what happens when you advertise. An advertisement by Bank X, our interest rate for education loans are lower than those of any other bank. Have a look at the assumptions. Some other banks also provide education loan? Yes. Interest rate charge education loan are different for different banks? Yes. That's why they're saying our rates are lower than those, which means there can be two different rates or two or more rates. So the answer is both follow. Are we clear? Both follow. Perfect. Let's move ahead. Yeah, so first thing we define advertise, then we had a why thing out here. Okay, why was the first basic thing, then advertisement. There can be a little more things as well. We'll talk about that as we move ahead. Fourth question, for any kind of problem with your mobile phone, contact our help desk immediately. Help desk has solution to all kinds of problems related to mobile phone or will guide accordingly? Yes. Yes, because in spite of the word all kinds of, keep in mind, one more rule for assumption is, before we go into this question, assumptions cannot be exclusive, which means it cannot have words like most, best, always, all, etc. Except for in a few special cases, which is the one which we are discussing right now. Okay, it's a special case. Yeah, it cannot be exclusive. Okay. Fine. Are we clear? So exclusive is not something which is an assumption, but here is a special case. Why? Because in spite of it saying all kinds of problems, because precisely help desk of any mobile service is responsible to solve all queries and or will guide accordingly, supports it further. So it may help you solving some technical queries, software queries, blah blah blah, but in case of any physical queries, like you've just broke your screen, they'll guide you at least that you may consult this person, you may go to the service center or whatever. Okay, so in spite of having an all in it, it is still an assumption. Okay, a special case. Next question, unless the problem is reported immediately, it cannot be solved. Not necessarily true. You need not have to report the problem immediately, because the statement doesn't talk anything about urgency. Okay. Yeah, it talks about contact them immediately, but it's not that it will not happen if you contact them a little later as well. Okay, so the urgency is something that is affecting out here, and that's why the answer is only one is true, two is not. Look at the next question. Use our medicine to fight the problem of obesity. So they're asking, they are in a way advertising again, use our product, okay? It'll help you fight obesity. TVC 11:30 in the night, yeah, something like that, yeah. Alright. Other slimming medicines available in the market do not reduce weight, we cannot comment on it. We cannot comment on the others. If they are saying my product is good, it doesn't mean the other product is bad. It can be equally good if not better. Okay? Obesity can be controlled without medicines. We cannot say because it doesn't fit in the premise. The premise says what? Use our medicine. So we cannot really comment on obesity being controlled or not controlled. Keep in mind, you don't have to put your value system here. You have to work with the premise. You might say that I've lost 20 kilos in 2 months or 2 weeks. I can do it. Okay? But the premise says what? Use of medicines. That's why you stick with the premise. Okay? So we don't really know about it. Fine? So again, one more, I mean, it's a very basic and a stupid rule, but some generic statements cannot be assumptions. Okay? Generic statements. They cannot be assumptions. It's too generic. It's too out of the context, I would say, of the premise.
Any examples?
Same thing as we did right now, yeah. Something generic. Sun rises in the east, like probably sun gives you light, something like that, yeah. Generic statements. Slow and steady wins the race. Okay? Cannot be. A major retail store announced 30% reduction on all food items during the weekend. So they're saying that a retail store, it announced 30% reduction. Now why did it announce 30% reduction? Let's see. People may still prefer buying food items from the other stores? Not really. See, understand, the premise here says what? A retail store has announced 30% reduction, which means they want themselves to be benefited. Here we are talking about people still may prefer the other way around, which means there's no effect of the reduction, which cannot be the premise of the, which cannot be the assumption because it doesn't favor the premise. You understand what is the premise? I am reducing my price so that people come in, but people still go there is not one of the assumptions that I reduce my price with. Are we clear? Next. Large number of customers may be the result. Yes. Got the difference now in both these statements? In the second statement, it's been attacked directly. So the answer is 2 is valid, 1 is not. Are we completely perfect with this? Yeah. So next statement. The captain of the school football team selected only 14 players to play all the 8 matches of the inter-school football competition. So the captain selected only 14 players is the premise. To play what? All the 8 matches. Okay, let's see. There may be adequate number of football players for all the matches. What do you think?
Yes.
What do you think? There may be an adequate number of players football for all the matches? We can't really say that.
Sir, if the assumption was changed to they may be adequate, then I think
they may be adequate for all the yeah.
So I can.
But there the na isliye there's dicey. If they ever been they may be adequate enough, fair point. If they were adequate enough, they were sufficient enough to play all, fair point. That's why I selected 14 only. Okay. Captain may be able to play in all the matches. We don't know about that as well. So the answer is none follows. Are we clear on this?
But it says maybe able.
Also, if it was will not be adequate number of players.
Huh? If it were?
Not be adequate. So the very fact that they are using only is to stress on the fact that there are less number of players.
Yeah, in that case it would be an assumption. In this case also it would be an assumption that they may be sufficient enough to play. That's why they've selected 14. Okay, 14 are enough to play the match. That's why they've selected 14 is an assumption. But the statement here says there may be adequate number of football players for all the matches is a little generic again if you notice.
Although there may not be adequate, then would it be a valid assumption?
They may not be adequate.
There
may not be an adequate. No, not a valid assumption again.
But then
Because there itself, the word there itself generalizes it.
But then the premises is still there valid because he has selected only 14 players because there were not adequate players to play the match.
You cannot say that if they were not adequate.
You cannot say that because only 14 players have been selected, right? We don't know the pool.
Out of 20.
That's why.
And if it is maybe able.
Doesn't matter. May be able to play in all the matches. Not really sure. We cannot comment.
All is a keyword.
Precisely, the other use maybe, right?
All keyword.
But he may be all matches, right? All the matches is the problem here. Nothing else. Alright, the railway authorities has rescheduled the departure time of many long distance trains and put up the revised time on the website. So what have they done? They reschedule the timing and they put it up on the website. So why have they done that? So that people get convenient. I mean they get convenience of travel. So they can choose how to go about it. They can plan their travel. The passengers may note the change in departure time from the website. Yes, that's precisely the reason of uploading something on the website. Okay, anything you advertise, anything you put up on the website is to be noticed, is to get noticed. Fine, fair. Passengers may be able to notice the change and board their respective train before departure. Yes, I just told you that. They may be able to plan their journey. Okay, both are valid. Are you clear with this? Alright, the next question, 9th one. The school authority has decided to give 5 grace marks in English to all the students of 9th standard as the performance of these students in English was below expectation. So performance of 9th standard guys was below expectation and they've given 5 marks grace. So why have they done that? Majority of the students of 9th may still fail in English after giving the grace marks? No. The idea of giving the grace mark is to make them, is to get them clear. Yeah? So precisely that cannot be the assumptions. Majority of students may now pass in the, that's why they're giving grace marks of 5. Okay? The motive is to get them the passing. It's like engineering, 33 and you get 40. Okay? Yeah. Yeah, 33 is the grace, 33 and 40. 37? 33 is the grace. Come on. Okay, so if you've got 33 in any subject and failed just in case, that means you've graced from 27 to 33. No, that won't happen. That's not an assumption anyway. Okay, anyway. 10th question. The Civic administration has asked the residents of the dilapidated buildings to move out as these buildings will demolish in the next 30 days. So 30 days we are going to demolish the building. So please move out. Let's see what happens. Civic administration may be able to demolish these buildings as per schedule. Yes. That's why they're asking you to evacuate the buildings because you're going to demolish. So that's why the assumption is we'll do it on time. So please leave right now. Fair. Residents of these buildings may vacate and stay elsewhere. Yes, that's what the motto is. Okay. Once they've been ordered. Okay, keep in mind. Next rule of assumption. When it comes to any notices. The idea is, number 1, people will follow. People will follow. Any notices, any request made, any plea, people will follow. Okay? By the way, one more thing. In a public notice, what happens? Following the notice is beneficial. And not following, vice versa. I mean, on the other hand, not following is going to be harmful. So if you don't follow it, it's going to be harmful in one way or the other. It's going to affect you.
Are always red.
Yeah, notice is always red. It's the same thing that people will follow. But still, they can ask you. People will respond to the notice. Instead of saying that they'll follow it, they'll evacuate it, they'll pay heed and they'll pay attention, they'll hear it out. Yeah, fair. Okay? So in case of public notices, following will be beneficial for them, not following will be harmful for them. Can you give me an example? Don't lean out of the moving emulator. The notice that you have on trains, in train compartments. Okay? No smoking. Okay? Yeah? No smoking. So doing that is useful, beneficial for the society or the individual. Not following that will be harmful for the individual. So no smoking boards. If you smoke at no smoking zone area, they may penalize you. That way harmful. We're not talking health hazards right now. Yeah. Alright? And one more thing about notice. Anybody? Such instances have happened before. Such instances have happened earlier, in the past. So when I say no smoking, you will not see no smoking boards in schools. Because in schools they never used to smoke anyway. It was a long back story. In the 70s they used to smoke in school, a different story, where the faculty can smoke in school and the students can too, okay, while the school hours are on, okay, yeah, that story is 70s story. But when it comes to 80s and 90s, they stopped it completely, okay, yeah, it used to happen earlier in school. The song itself, another brick in the wall clearly demonstrates that.
Yes.
Pink Floyd. Okay. If you watch the movie Pink, you'll get to know in a much detailed manner. Okay. So that's why precisely your parents are too much anti-smoking and your grandparents aren't. Okay. Yeah. So think about it. Okay. Because grandparents have lived in that phase where smoking was completely okay and allowed, and parents have lived in a phase where they go anti-smoking. Okay, so the anti-smoking campaign started somewhere in 80s. Okay,
20s.
that's fine, but point is such things have happened before. Okay, please don't lean out of the moving emulator. People do lean out of the moving emulator and chill, and then get killed and stuff like that. So and they die. So yeah, happened before. Okay, keep in mind. Notices. Come back. City Transport Corporation has introduced air-conditioned buses on various routes to attract people travelling to their workplace by car and hence reduce congestion. This has been done before. Keep in mind the past experiences. CET focuses a lot on this. The past experiences or something that has already happened. This kind of a scheme has been already implemented in Mumbai, in Maharashtra for that matter, in India for that matter. We're talking MHCET, so I will speak about Mumbai level. Already being implemented. Okay, past experiences. Yeah. So what happens? Why have they done that? And what are the repercussions precisely? Or maybe what is the effect of it? Majority of people may still prefer to travel to the workplace. No, that's not the motto. The motto is to help them switch. Many people may now opt for these buses. That is why they have chosen that. 2. No. That's not an immediate conclusion. It's the assumption because of which they started off with. So if you feel that it's a conclusion, ask a question, that is why. And get back to the question premise again. Okay? So many people now opt for these buses to travel for the workplaces. That is why they've executed these, implemented those schemes. Okay? It's not a conclusion.
Conclusion would be less congestion on the roads.
Correct. Conclusion would be the immediate effect or maybe what happens next. Okay? Not a choice made. Alright, so are we clear? Next question. State government has announced an amnesty scheme for all the housing societies defaulting on payment of municipal taxes, asking these societies to pay upfront 6% of the dues and it regularize their status without any penalty. Okay? So what is happening? They've announced an amnesty scheme number 1 for whom? The ones who are defaulting on the payments, and they've asked them to pay upfront 6% of the dues. Okay? So that the status, it won't affect the state, they'll regularize it. Okay? Now see what happens. What is the assumption? Why have they done that? Most of our defaulting house society may now opt to pay the amnesty and pay the dues. Yes, that's the motto precisely. Other housing societies which have been paying the taxes regularly may file a case against the government. No. This is all crap. Okay? So the answer is 1. Okay? Are we fine with this? Try the next 5. Till the time I'll distribute the handout, just try it like this. Read and try 13th onwards. These are statement assumptions. First, paper पढ़ना उसको पहले क्या लिखा है उस पर? एक करके पीछे दे दो. Take one with you. मेरे को नीचे. Bundle पीछे दे दो. एक इधर दे दो. इधर दे दो. Question number 13. Have a look. Mr. X started at 9 a.m. from his residence to attend a meeting scheduled to be held at 11 a.m. and instructed his assistant to meet him at the venue of the meeting and hand over the relevant documents. So starts at 9 a.m. and instructed the assistant to meet him at the venue and hand over the relevant documents. What is the assumption? Let's see. Mr. X may arrive at the meeting place before 11 a.m. Yes, that's why he's asking to schedule a meeting at 11 a.m. So may arrive before 11. Mr. X assistant may be able to arrive at the venue before the commencement of the meeting. Yes, and that's why he'll be able to hand over the relevant documents. Precisely, both follow. Try the next 4, please. You must have got the handouts. Please try the next 4. 14, 15, 16, 17. Just 5 more to go. Don't worry. Huh? We made this. My ex partners. That is done by Slachi.
And also,
The logo is done by Slachi. That's the theme of my workshop. Secrets to CET. Fourteenth question: If you're a first class graduate with communication skill and also have work experience of at least 2 years in sales related activities, you're welcome in our organization. So saying first class graduate, good communication skills and work experience of at least 2 years. It's an advertisement. Many with good communication skills may not respond. No, the idea of advertisement is to respond. All the first class graduates may possess good communication skills, not necessarily true. I mean, I have known so many of them. Okay, yeah. So the answer is none follows. How is this? These are all CET questions, by the way, lifted from CET papers of previous years. Okay? Liked it? Easy enough? Cool enough? 5 on 5. This is something which you get 5 on 5. Okay? You can't afford to miss even one in this. Okay? See, my point is, if you keep missing, understand, I'll give you statistics behind it. If you miss one on each set, you miss, like you do 4 on 5, right? There's no negative. 4 on 5 is 80%. You get 160. But not all the sets are good sets for you, right? Not all the sets are strong sets for you. So you're less 20, 25. So you'll get Wellington. So if you miss one on each, you get Wellington. Okay? So set your standards accordingly. So you have to have, out of the 40 sets of 5 questions, which is 200 questions, you have to have at least 25 sets where you get a 5 on 5. Only then you can dream of something like Sydenham or JD. Alright? That's precisely the motto. So you can't afford to miss one on these areas, especially the areas that I'm teaching you today. Okay? Till, let's say, visual reasoning. You should not miss one on any of these. So make sure these topics should come to in your graph. They should come to high speed, high accuracy area. Okay? All these topics. They're somewhere around 70 marks. High speed, high accuracy. 14 topics. Okay? Content DI, I'm assuming you won't go wrong. So content DI, again you have 50 marks more. 120. If you get 120 on 120, in the rest 80, if you manage 40 also, 50 also, it's fine. Okay, that's the motto. 160, 170 is the target.
what's the cutoff for JP?
Cutoff for JV will change every year. Depends on the kind of exam you have. But if you have something similar, then it's going to be 165. Which is if you miss one, you're gone. Okay? Please try and get 5 on 5. So please make sure you know all the rules of these things. Okay? Let's move ahead. Next question. Railway Authority has announced suspension of movements of train on the main track within the city limit for carrying out major repair works during Saturday and Sunday and advised the commuters to plan their journey accordingly. So what is a mega block? They're talking about mega block. Okay? Yeah, let's see. Commuters may protest against the decision. No, you cannot do that. Keep in mind, in verbal reasoning, you cannot be harsh. Any topic of verbal reasoning, not just assumptions. Any topic, you cannot be harsh. You have to be in the utopian state. The utopian state, you have to be in this. Utopian means what? Everything's good, everybody is kind, you're good enough to everyone, you're not dark at all, you don't think negative. Okay, everything that happens for good kind of thing. But everything good happens to you. Don't worry. It's not that if something bad happens and you say everything happens for good. No, not like that. Okay. Utopian is that state. Okay. Utopian is a state that is non-existing, where everybody thinks good about everybody else. So you don't be harsh. You don't take violent steps, etc., etc. You don't bash up people. You don't protest and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. Unless, of course, the protest is for something beneficial. Okay, and this protest is too much, so not allowed. It's harsh. Next, municipal authority may be able to deploy additional buses during Saturday and Sunday to help the commuters. Yeah, it may be able to do that.
Yeah, that's not the assumption. Yeah, that's not the
The idea, okay, wait. Yeah, the railway authority has been saying that, right? So, what are they saying is, carrying out major repair works and advise the commuter to plan the journey accordingly. So, it may happen that the municipal authority may come up and do something like that for the people to benefit the society.
Yes.
That's completely fair.
No, sir, but if you ask the question, that's why, and then you read the statement, it doesn't match.
What doesn't match?
If you read the municipal authority, blah blah blah, that's why the railway.
So, वैसा you saying? No, it is solving a problem.
It's not out of
Okay, fair.
out of context नहीं है क्योंकि related to
Fair. I'd say, wait. Listen. I'd say more than being an assumption, it is a course of action. Okay? So let it be. It cannot be an assumption. Okay? It cannot be an assumption. It's more or less like a course of action. It's an action taken. So it cannot be an assumption. That's course of action. Past experiences to solve a problem. See, problem solving is a course of action. Okay? The reasons of doing it is an assumption. So that's why I said why. Okay. Many employees of the organization applied for special sabbatical leave of 2 years to pursue higher education. That's what you do anyway. So let's see. Special sabbatical leave of 2 years, so I doubt somebody will give you. Okay. Let's see. The management of organization may not grant leave to most of these employees. Can't say. These employees may be able to complete their education during sabbatical leave. Yes, that is why they are asking for a leave. That is why they are asking for a leave. Next question. Most of the private companies have decided against awarding annual increase in the salary of their employees for the previous year due to current economic situations. So private companies have decided against awarding annual increase. So they've decided against the annual increase. So they'll not increase the salary. Why wouldn't they increase the salary? Because of the economic constraints. Yeah, let's see. Majority of the employees may leave the job. It's not an assumption, by the way. It's the next course. It's the action. These companies may announce hike in salaries next year. We can't really say. It depends on the economic condition next year. None. Next question. The college administration has instructed all the students to stop using cell phones within the college premise. Why have they done that? Because it must be disturbing enough. Let's see. Students may stop using cell phones in the college premise. Yes. I told you, any instruction, any given notice will be heard of, will be followed. Student may continue to use a cell phone? No. It cannot be the other way around. That's because of the utopian fact that I mentioned. You've got to do something beneficial, something good. If college authority has told you to do something, you better follow it rather than going against it. Government has decided to levy congestion tax to passengers travelling by air and from the metro cities. By the air to and from metro cities. Sorry. They are levying congestion tax. So whoever is going by air from metro city to a metro city, they have a tax. Tax so collected may be adequate enough to meet the part of the expenses for providing additional resources to handle huge traffic.
Yes.
Because it's a congestion tax. Okay, it may be adequate enough to meet the expense because of the congestion. That's why they're taking the tax. Okay, because they are focusing on what? Congestion. Handle huge traffic. Next, passengers traveling by air to and for these cities may be able to pay extra tax. Yes, that is why they are asking for extra tax. Okay, if you ask for something, you'll be able to do it. If I'm asking for a favor, I'll ask for a favor with the assumption that the person can do it. Otherwise, I will not ask for it. Are we clear? So you don't ask for favors from anybody else apart from somebody you know that can do it. Yeah? Perfectly fine. That's how it is. So in the morning when I called for a handout, I spoke to Jayesh rather than speaking to anybody else because I know Jayesh can do it. Okay? That's how it is. Next. The local citizens group submitted a memorandum to the Civic authority for allowing them to convert the vacant plot in the locality into a garden at their own cost. Okay? So they want to convert a vacant plot to a garden. And they have given a memorandum. Let's see. The local citizen group may be able to gather enough funds to develop the garden? Yes. That's the idea behind submitting a memorandum. Civic authority may not accede to the request of the local citizen group? Can't say. In fact, if it may accede hota, to that would have been an assumption, because that's why they're giving a memorandum. It's just a favor thing, same thing as a favor thing. Okay? Yeah. Are we clear with assumptions? So precisely, these are your 4-5 rules of assumptions, which you'll follow. Ask a question why, speak about adverts, speak about notices, no exclusivity. Cannot be exclusive. Are we clear? Let's go to the next topic. Please note it down. Course of actions. Very important. In fact, very easy. They're a different set of questions. Course of action. Huh? Course of action.